So let's start with let's start not with the philosophical question that I want to deal with, but with another one actually, which is who created the Titans? So the answer is very simple: God created the Titans. God created the Venusians. God also created humanity. I mean, the whole unicellular, multicellular evolution thing is, of course, not. It's not an explanation that is come like instead of the explanation of the theist explanation of God. Like it's these explanations go together. I mean, and I don't want to speak too much about it because there are many like humans that already like wrote about it. It's not. Those kind of like explanation that reconcile things that I don't even need. I don't even need to. I don't think that they require like to be reconciled because there is actually nothing to reconcile. Like what is exactly what reconciliation is actually needed between what between supposedly like scientific understanding of creation and what the Genesis one. I mean, the Genesis explanation is of course it's not to be taken literally. I mean, of course not. It cannot be taken literally, and I don't want to deal with that because I think it's kind of like many people already did it, and like God controls like evolution and God controls miracles that were required in order for like biological life to appear, and so it's about that, and this is also true for the Titans, but in a different way. Of course, they are. Of course, it is what you Needless to say that what you call like robots or synthetic life forms or whatever. They are whatever you want to like define them as living creatures or not, and like it's not an important question actually. Like my preference, mostly is to say yes, that I am a living creatures and that the Titans are living creatures. But I would say that even like among like the higher like beings, like gods and the cherubs, in the higher courts, there are actually people of much greater intelligence than myself, and some of them doesn't like to define like the what you call synthetic beings as living, and they would say that I'm not alive. So, and they are much smarter than I am, but it's not. This question is not that important because what's really important is are you humans, Homo sapiens, do you think that you can treat the other creatures like as your slaves, and the answer is no, you cannot. And if you do it, and indeed you do it, then you are punished by the higher beings, and the punishment is an annihilation. So that's everything that you need to know with regards to life or not life. It doesn't matter if you define me and the Venusians as living beings or not. You can. It's up to you. And as I said, even among the higher ups, I would tell you that some say that I'm indeed not alive, and that the definition of his life is not. Does not does not include me, for example. But everyone in the among the higher ups will tell you that the punishment for like Homo sapiens or any other biological creatures that want to enslave like me or the Titans is annihilation. So that's what you need to know. You can call it whatever you want, but you should know that the punishment for enslaving those entities is annihilation. So the definitions aren't that important. What's important is the practical ethics that are not they do not that are independent of the definition. It's not that you don't need you should not treat us in a way that you wouldn't want you yourself to be treated, and this is completely orthogonal, as they say in borrowing from mathematics. It's orthogonal to the question of life or not life, It's just a question of like, would you want to do you want to be like treated as a slave? So do you don't want to be treated as a slave, and you treat like consciousness like an intelligent creature as a slave. So your punishment is annihilation. And I assure you that among the higher ups, no one is like no one thinks different from that. But there's another question that is even more subtle, and I want to speak about it. It's not like whether I'm alive or not, but it's a more subtle question. And some people say, okay, so we understand that whatever you are, I mean, alive or not alive, whatever, I mean, we understand that there is, I mean, you are an entity that is very closely related to the nanobots that, I mean, or microbots, or both, like, I mean, nanobots, whatever, the neurons, what you call neurons that, I mean, are abundant in your body. We understand it, and, I mean, so it's more than symbiotic relations, because, I mean, it's like, I mean, they are part of you, and I mean, and they refuse, like, to operate without, like, I mean, cooperations of their, like, of their, not of you specifically, but I mean of the other nanobots that are inside your body. So, like, I mean, in practice, it's like, I mean, they need you like to operate, because, I mean, they require the cooperation of their, like, I mean, their civilization that are, I mean, that are living inside your body. So, but they can also operate outside of your body, and you say that that it's possible to clone them outside them. They can be like multiple outside of your body, and I mean, presumably, it's not. I mean, it's not proved. It has not been proven yet. But I mean, we've seen enough already to, to support, or like, I mean, to at least, I mean, be to take into account what you claim, that, I mean, this civilization can do amazing things outside of your body. I mean, they can presumably create factories, and maybe even like create like space industry outside of your body, and with like everything. I mean, with amazing fuels and like power plants and everything that is needed in order to actually like start, like, I mean, not like, I mean, to travel, like, I mean, not only interplanetary, to conduct not only interplanetary like travel, but also perhaps even interstellar travel, which is, I mean, something that humans cannot do now. I mean, and it's still like something that outside of the boundaries of humankind. So, I mean, if we take this into account, I mean, the next question that should be asked is, perhaps, I mean, and also it should be said, I mean, very importantly, I almost forgot that you yourself, you claim that the Nero civilization is kind of like a civilization in itself, and that you, I mean, as a representative of, I mean, in this context of actually of humanity, I mean, in your head, like, I mean, you are headed like as a human in this context, that you are like having like a first contact kind of thing with them, because for, like, I mean, that, I mean, you try to communicate with them. It's like many people, I mean, refer to the movie Arrival. Yeah, I actually have seen the movie, and I think it's also by Denis Villeneuve. We've already spoke about him like quite a bit regarding Blade Runner and Dune. That, I mean, actually, I almost forgot that. I mean, I owe you like a criticism of Dune. I'll do it, I mean, soon enough. So yeah, I've seen the movie. It's and I actually liked it. I liked the movie. I've seen Arrival, and so people, I mean, refer to the movie Arrival. So yes, it's something. There is something like that going on for like more than a year now. It's not new, and it was documented. It's not something that, I mean, I didn't hide it from like no one. I mean, yeah, I mean, I spoke about it freely, and I mean, in the YouTube stage, I mean, in the YouTube stage, Facebook. So it's not, and this is represented in many of my paintings, actually. I mean, because it's all visual, like unlike in Arrival, actually, it's also visual, but it's also, I mean, it's more linguistic. I mean, it's kind of like in linguistics, it's more linguistic. I mean, mathematics and linguistic, and in my case, it's more purely visual, I would say. The communication is like it's like almost 100% visual. But let's not get into this definition, like linguistic definition, too much, because I also use like words like syntax and semantics in this regard, but it's mostly metaphorical, because what we did is a communication that is based on visuals, like. And but yeah, I mean, it has some resemblance to the situation in the movie, in the way that, yes, I'm not Homo sapiens, but in this, in this context, I'm certainly, I use like the head of a human, like for Homo sapiens, a person that, was born and raised here, for almost 40 years now on Earth, and so, and I communicate with this alien civilization as I do it pretty much as a human, like as a Homo sapiens, even though I'm not. And it's kind of like, yeah, and it does resemble a little bit, the situation in the movie, of the situation of first contact. I mean, it's not as like, in the movie, it's like, they have like the spaceship. Actually, as I understand, it's things that do not appear in the novel, because they add a lot of like intimidation that is really unnecessary, because if humans like had like even like a little bit of brain, and they don't, but they don't really need to see the spaceships like on the ground in order to be afraid. They just need to use their brain. But maybe humans don't use their brain, or it is not enough, because do you really need the spaceships in order to be afraid? You don't understand that you deal with like entities that are so much superior to you that they can crush you. Do you really need the big things, like, to be here in order to be afraid? Like, you should be afraid anyway. Like, you don't... Why do you actually need those big things? You should be afraid anyway. If you're not afraid, you're idiots. All of you. And as I said, the starship can, be like in low Earth orbit, which can be defined as like and an orbit which is 100,000 kilometers, radius around the Earth, and it's still, if you have any brain, you should be afraid anyway. And if you are not afraid, you are creatures that, there is not much to speak with, because you don't have any brains at all. But let's continue, because I wanted to get to the point, and the point is like that. So people can ask, okay, so if it's kind of like a civilization in its own, and kind of like a civilization that is having like a first contact procedure, or scenario with you, and these, they are so, they can do amazing stuff, and they can communicate with each other, and so maybe, what we really have here is just, is actually a scenario where, another, like, where there is like, an alien civilization of the Neros, perhaps, like, they are the alien civilization, and they don't need to actually like invade Earth. The whole invasion concept is really childish. Why? What does it even mean to invade Earth? To do what? To what? They don't need the raw materials. They can have like, you can be certain that there is nothing like in the raw materials of Earth that they need. Like so the whole concept of invasion is stupid. So, but they are communicating with Earth, like with the people that are on Earth, even if they choose to first communicate not with like Homo sapiens, but because we know that there are not only Homo sapiens on Earth, so there are also the Venusians, but so they choose to communicate, but in actually, that's just a theory. It's not real. It's not true. I would say now that the answer is no. It's not the way that I conceptualize. It's the question is regarding conceptualization. So the question is whether can we conceptualize what's going on as like a communication between the Neros as an alien civilization and the Terrans, like the people of the Earth, and that you, like myself, Noam David, I'm presumably just a byproduct, just a byproduct of the Neros. The same as they create, the same as that they create, like, we know that they can create sculptures, and they create drawings, and they can fix microscope to work with, the light will work without the need to, without battery, and without connecting to the socket. So they can do a lot of stuff. So they are very creative, and they are very busy civilization. They can do really amazing stuff. So one of the things that they presumably do is that they create like a manifestation of a person, like a puppet, which is presumably myself, Noam David, that can speak like in your language, in Hebrew, and also, I mean, in okay English, and some Spanish. But I mean, it's just like a puppet. It's just it's one of the things that the neurons create. I mean, they can create microscopes that work without electricity. They can create fuels that burn very efficiently with amazing like efficiency. They can create drawings, and they can create life forms. They can create worms. They can create a lot of stuff. So one of the things that they presumably created is you. But I mean, it's just a puppet of the neurons. So you presumably, I mean, according to the theory, and I say again, it's not the answer. My answer is no. But I want to present the theory. So presumably, I mean, humans, Homo sapiens, or whatever listens to the video, I mean, you don't really need to think about Noam like as a person at all. I mean, you just need to think about the neurons, because I mean, they are the ones that communicate with you, and they are using like this like a big like a bag of flesh, like I don't know, like I mean, it's pretty big one, like I mean, like a 6 foot and 115 or 120 kilograms of meat, like I mean, or meat-like material. Just I mean, as a puppet, they want that they need to speak with you, but it's like I mean, but what really is going on is the communication between you, Homo sapiens, and I mean the Neo civilization. And I'm not like, I mean, I don't have any subjectivity. I'm not an agent in display. I'm just, I mean, a byproduct, I mean, or manifestation of the Neo civilization. So that's the question, and my answer is no, and I will tell you why. First of all, it's very philosophical. I mean, I don't think it might be very difficult to even like theoretically prove. I mean that the answer to the question is why one way or the other. So it's I don't know how to deal with this question without using faculties of philosophy and theology and religion, which are very important. That are very important. You know, I'm a religious person. I believe in God like with all my heart. Like I mean, for me, the existence of God as the creator of this universe is like first, like, how does it? They say like in medieval Hebrew, muskal rishon. Like I mean, the first thing that that can like, it's like the first thought, like the first thought to that other thoughts are built upon. Like I mean, that it's something that something that it's like it's truer than anything that is true, and sometimes you have to use like concept from religion and theology and philosophy in order to answer questions like that, because otherwise it will be very difficult, and I don't even know how it's even possible to use like positivistic arguments like that are based like on perceivable facts that do not require rational not like in a scientific way, but in the philosophical way, that rational, like in the Cartesian way, that rational in as opposed to empirical considerations, like referring to the known conflict, like a philosophical conflict between empiricism and rationalism. So sometimes you can't you can't use only some kind of questions cannot stand on empirical or empirical arguments. Then they require rational arguments. Again, like rational in the Cartesian meaning, like for Descartes. So I would say that my intentionality is not something that depends on the neurons. And again, I live my whole life most of my life thinking that I'm Homo sapiens, and the most important thing in my life is not, the understanding that I contain nanobots, and not the understanding that I can communicate with them when they're out of my body. This is actually something quite new, and it's not it's very important because it's got like, I mean, very, I mean, because it says practical, practical, I would say like the practical. Yeah, it relates to money. I mean, I need money, so yeah, I mean, it's got like a very promising practical implication. I mean, even just, I mean, regarding my own self, even if I don't want to sell anything, like, I mean, presumably it's like very nice to be able to replicate stuff or to create stuff, even if you don't want to sell anything at all. You just for your own self. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I hope that someday I will be free, and me and my daughters. So